Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio, and earlier today, I showed you the deck that won a 1,200-person tournament in Japan. It was a good deck. It was a deck we didn't see coming. I ranted about Onyx a little bit, but I think deservedly so. But you see, that wasn't actually the biggest deck for the weekend. Now, don't get me wrong, it won in the Masters division, yeah? But the same deck came second in Masters, and won in Juniors, and won in Seniors. And as far as I'm concerned, that probably makes it one of the best decks, if not the best deck, in Japan right now. Because it had the most success at the most recent big tournament. I think that makes it the best deck. Although, as always, please do feel free to argue in the comment section. That's what comment sections are there for. It's Naganadel Blacephalon. And this is a deck about which I had not made a video. It's a deck that was not on my radar. Probably should have been, to be honest. So, it's all based around cards that we just don't have right now. This is an entire deck which will be out in the near future but isn't out now. And it all starts with Blacephalon GX, a card which I'm beginning to think is a lot better than I've been giving it credit for. I said it was a good card, but I don't know if I really said quite how good it is. Now, really here, it's all about the main attack, Startle Head. 2 fire energy, 50 damage. You may put as many fire energy from your Pokemon in play into the Lost Zone as you like. It does 50 damage for each energy put into the Lost Zone in this way. So, if you put 3 fire energy in the Lost Zone, you do 150 at a choice band 180, but you can go 4 200 with a choice band 230, and so on and so forth. So then the question becomes, okay, I don't need to get the energy attached to Blacephalon, I just need to get the energy into play. How do I get enough energy into play to make this work? And the answer is Naganadel. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, another card which has not been revealed yet but will be in the not too distant future. Now, it's got an attack we'll talk about in just a moment, but it's mostly about the ability here. Once during your turn, you may attach a basic energy from your discard pile to this Pokemon. Now, this is where it starts getting a bit over the top nuts good. Because if you've got 3 Naganadel in play, then every turn you can take 3 energy from the discard pile and attach them to your Naganadel. Which means you're doing 150 damage if you're not attaching for the turn. If you do attach for the turn, then all of a sudden that's 4, which means 200 damage. That's crazy. Using Naganadel, you can build this up super quickly. And the other awesome thing about Naganadel is it's actually got a useful attack. If you have exactly 3 prize cards remaining, this attack does 160 damage. Now, ordinarily speaking, you are getting a one-hit KO on a Buzzwole if you use a choice band, which is great. Or a Naganadel GX, or an Acrozma, etc. Yeah, it's really good. But if you've got 3 prize cards remaining, and you add a choice band, then you're actually up to 190. And a whole bunch of Pokemon, stuff like Rayquaza or Tapu Lele are going down. One of the issues you'll have in a deck like this is that you'll end up lost zoning a bunch of energy. It's very much like the old Magnezone Prime. If you end up lost zoning too much energy, you run out of energy. So if you can get 1 or 2 prizes using an attacker that doesn't lost zone energy, you are absolutely golden. And even if your Naganadel gets KO'd, it's not really a big deal. You give up 1 prize, but you're generally using 2 prize attackers, so 7 prize game. And then that energy that was attached to Naganadel is now in the discard pile, which means it can be put onto other Naganadel in the future. And this really is the deck in a nutshell. Use Naganadel to get energy on the field, and then use Blacephalon to Lost Zone it and just do a monumental amount of damage. It's wonderful. Now, we do actually have a decent GX attack on Blacephalon here, and it's the only GX attack you can use given the energy you're playing, which is quite nice. And basically, you just get to take a prize, and if that prize is a basic energy, you get to attach it to one of your Pokemon. Sorry, if it's an energy card. Very important ruling, you discard the energy and attach it if it's an energy. So we are playing Beast Energy here, but as soon as you discard that using a GX attack, it goes to the Lost Zone, you then cannot attach it. So this is very, 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 very important. If you use your GX attack and hit a Beast Energy, you don't get to attach it. So if you end up with one prize remaining, you put a Blacephalon in the active, attach a single energy and win the game. That's awesome. Or maybe it's just early game and you want to try and accelerate some energy. I don't know. It's still a cool attack. And that's it. The only other Pokemon played are Tapu Lele. This is a super, super easy Pokemon line. 4 free Naganadel, 3 Blacephalon, 2 Tapu Lele. That's Redonk, ladies and gentlemen. That's Redonk. Now, when I talk about the Pokemon line, that's a second place in Masters and the winner in Seniors. The winner in Junior actually played a weirdly teched out list with Ditto Prism Star that can be evolved into any Stage 1, along with a single copy of Alolan Muck, so you could evolve Ditto into Alolan Muck, 2 block abilities on basics, and a single copy of Salazzle GX to give you another attacker, and again, either of those could evolve from Ditto. That seems a little bit over the top clunky to me, but it is an option nonetheless. Now, in terms of energy here, it's really quite simple. You're just playing 16 fire energy seems to be the average, with a single beast energy because you get to do extra damage, and extra damage is always good. And again, in terms of the trainer line, it's all a little bit different here. I'll show you all 3 lists at the end. But there are a couple of important trainer cards that we do need to bring attention to. First of all, Beast Ring here shouldn't surprise anyone. If your opponent's got 3 or 4 prizes remaining, it lets you search your deck for 2 basic energy and attach them to one of your Ultra Beasts. Blacephalon's an Ultra Beast. Naganadel's an Ultra Beast. You can Lost Zone the energy using Blacephalon from any of your Pokemon in play. So every time you play a Beast Ring, it's kind of like an extra 100 damage. Beast Ring is over the top broken in this deck. Clearly, it's going to be amazing. And then, of course, you want to discard Fire Energy because it's better in the discard. If it's in a discard, you can use Naganadel's ability to attach it to Naganadel, and then it'll be on the field where you want it. So we got a bunch of cards we can use to discard basic fire energy. We have Acrobike here. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck, 1 in your hand, 1 in your discard. When you're playing 16 basic energy, you'll hit one off an Acrobike moderately often. We see Mysterious Treasure here, because it can get everything except for Blacephalon, and it lets you discard a card from your hand. And we actually see Sightseer here, which some people, I have seen it translated as Tourist. I want to say on PokeBeach, I could be wrong, but I have seen it translated in a different way. But David Hochmann's got Sightseer, and as far as I'm concerned, that's what I'm going with. And this hasn't been released yet, it's coming in Lost Thunder. It lets you draw until you got 5 cards in hand, which is not particularly amazing. But before drawing, you can discard as many cards from your hand as you like. Really good for discarding a whole bunch of fire energy in the early game. It's very, very nice. It makes me very, very happy. And then fairly obviously, they all play 1 copy of Heat Factory Prism Star. Now, Heat Factory Prism Star is by far the worst of the Prism Star stadiums we've seen so far. It's very underwhelming. But it lets you discard a fire energy from your hand and draw 3 cards. First of all, drawing cards is good. That's how you get set up. Secondly, it puts an energy in the discard, which you need so you can accelerate it with Naganadel, Lost Zone it with Blacephalon, and you are off and rolling. I remain a very, very big fan of this card. It's not as good as the other Prism Star stadiums. Let me be super clear about that. But that doesn't mean it's not a good card, and it's still a one-of in all of those decks. And then we see kind of some weird stuff. So in the senior deck, though not in the others, we see a couple copies of Spell Tag. I did mention that in the deck earlier, which means it made it into 2 very good decks this weekend. If it's attached to a Psychic Pokemon, Naganadel or Tapu Lele, and that Pokemon gets knocked out by damage from your opponent's attack, you get to put 4 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. Seems a little bit clunky, but it's still a fun one for me. Obviously, Kiawe's a good one here. You get to attach 4 fire energy from your deck to one of your Pokemon. And look, yeah, your opponent can Guzma and go after that Pokemon. And it's far from ideal, and it's really a turn 1 option because it ends your turn. But we saw it in the Seniors winning deck, and we saw it in the Masters second place deck. So it does bear having a quick look at. Also in the second place Masters deck, and in the Juniors winning deck, and the Seniors, and if anyone's keeping count, that's all 3 of them, we do see copies of Ultra Space here that let you just search your deck for an Ultra Beast and put it into your hand. I mean, look, you're playing Blacephalon, Poipole, and Naganadel. Clearly here, ladies and gentlemen, you want to be using this, yeah? But because it helps you search out like all of your Pokemon other than Tapu Lele. Plus, you've got to have stadiums here to counter other stadiums because these Prism Stars are a donk. So, you know, that's pretty important. Now, everything else here is fairly standard, but I'm going to stop pointing this out in a minute. Japanese players are just not playing Copycat. We saw this in the White Kyurem deck we looked at the other day. We saw it in the Zero Aura deck we looked at the other day. We looked at it in the winning list that we saw yesterday, and in all 3 of these lists, no Copycat. When I did a poll on my Twitter just before rotation, I asked you which stadium was likely to see the most play post-rotation, which one was going to be the best. Copycat won, and it was quite a decisive victory. To be completely blunt with you, Japanese players disagree. Copycat is not seeing play. Japanese players are playing Tate and Liza. Japanese players are playing Lily. Although, to be fair, in this deck, we didn't see very much Tate and Liza. It was mostly Lily. But we're not seeing Copycat seeing really any play in Japan. So, here is the second place list from Masters. Thank you to the lovely Code64 for tweeting this one at us. Nice looking list. Pretty consistent. Single copy of Plumeria there, which is kind of interesting. Very straightforward. Here is the Seniors winning list, which is pretty gosh darn similar. It's not 100% exactly the same, but it's very, very similar here. And then here is the Juniors winning list, which is weird, right, given that it's a Juniors winning list, but it's a little bit more teched out, a little bit more awkward, fewer energy and all of that. If you're looking for one to start testing, I wouldn't use a Junior list just because it's a bit more awkward. I think the Masters list is probably the most straightforward and consistent here. And they might not have been up on the screen for ages, but obviously, you know, screenshot, pause, all that good stuff. Honestly, this is a deck that was not on my radar as one of the top decks, and I know it didn't win in the Masters division, but like I said at the top of the video, it won in Seniors, it won in Juniors, it came second in Masters. It almost did what Rayquaza did, winning in all 3 age divisions, and alright, it didn't quite get there, but it was not far off, ladies and gentlemen. It's a phenomenal deck. And I really do think we need to start looking at this and going, hang on a second, this is a deck we need to take really seriously when Lost Thunder comes out. And just in case anybody wants to say, hang on a second, Wassy, aren't they playing a different format in Japan? No. They're playing Sun and Moon On just like we are. They've got Lost Thunder. Outside of that, we're in the same format right now. So I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, time to start taking this deck very, very seriously. So let me know in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen, did you have this on your radar? Did you think this was going to be a good deck? Or did you look at Blacephalon and think, that could be cool? And look at Naganadel and go, I can see some uses, and not put them together. I didn't really put this deck together like that, and I've not heard much hype at all for this deck. And I tell you what, it looks like it's for real. Go nuts, ladies and gentlemen, but do remember the rule. Be nice, very important. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves. Until next time, thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.